Let us look at the Northern Sea Route's commercial viability. There are three important factors which are important. One is the ecology, geopolitics and the cyber security. Ecologically, there are physical challenges, especially in the Arctic Circle, because if the vessel has to traverse through this icy terrain, then they have to break the thick ice. In the North Pole, sea ice covers the largest area at the end of the winter and thaws to its smallest area in September each year. So, if somebody has to travel through the months of October, November or December, it is going to be very difficult. The climate change is occurring 4 times faster in the Arctic Circle than anywhere else in the planet. So, the vast chunks of Arctic ice are melting due to rising temperature. This phenomenon is helping actually the shipping industry, and roughly around 3% of global carbon emission also happens in this region. Why people prefer the Northern Sea Route? Basically, it has the shorter transit time. This actually reduces the travel between Europe to Asia by 30% compared to the Suez Canal. And it also, because of the lesser travel time, the cost saving is also very high. That is approximately 20% due to lower distance and faster transit. It helps that. Icy condition improvement means due to Arctic amplification and reduction in the sea ice, the climate change also is helping the Arctic sea ice thinning, so which makes the Northern Sea Route more navigatable. So that's the reason around 30% per decade ice had been decreasing, so which helps the shipping area. This results in the increased shipping traffic, like for example, in 2021 around 1200 vessels used this route, which is a significant increase from just 40 vessels in 2010. So, over a period of decade, there is a vast increase in the number of vessels using this particular route. This is also having economic potential of Arctic resources. For example, the Arctic region is expected to hold around, estimated to hold around 13% of world's undiscovered oil and 30% of undiscovered natural gas. So, the NSR provides a direct route for resource extraction and transportation. Similarly, with respect to the infrastructure development, Russia is investing heavily for infrastructure route along the Northern Sea routes. So, with over 1.4 billion planned for ports, icebreakers and other support facilities by 2013. And the environmental regulation is the most important thing. Like shipping via the NSR may be subject to few environmental regulations compared to traditional routes, because making it attractive for certain industries. But operators must still adhere to international standards. And cargo capacity, basically many big vessels can actually travel through this one, especially the Northeastern Passage, because Northwest Passage is a shallow area, whereas Northeast Passage is not. So that's the reason bigger vessels can actually travel through this area. For example, cargo exceeding 50,000 tons are also possible. And the climate adaptation strategies, many companies are actually planning their shipping strategies by expecting that there is going to be less sea ice in this particular region. So, but even though we talked about all the positive things, there are also some negative aspects, like there are various obstacles to develop this particular route as a commercial viability, especially the logistic issues include slower speeds and Russian fees and custom clearance, limited commercial weather forecast, because in those regions we do not know how when the winter storm is going to come. There is less information related to weather forecast, so that is also creating problem for the people who are passing through that area. There is a patchy search and rescue capabilities, and also there is a scarcity of relief ports. If something breaks down, then they cannot even go to a port to dock. So this is also a biggest challenge. Similarly, need for icebreaker and ice capable vessels are a mandatory thing, because the ice are very thick in this particular region. Impact on viabilities, like insurance is also required. If something happens bad, then the shipping companies also have to pay a large insurance fees. Similarly, the shipping operations viability also dependent on various these limitations. So what are the challenges? The sheer size of this Arctic shoreline along the Northern Sea Route poses a separate issue, because this is inhospitable in nature of that particular region. So that is the biggest challenge. And especially between Murmansk and the Bering Strait, the NSR passes along 2,500 miles of nearly desolate Siberian tundra. So this is the biggest challenge. Nothing exists in that region. So there is a lack of port infrastructure along the route, and also the ships are unable to receive any assistance in the case of breakdown or damage. So this is the biggest challenge. Once these are developed, maybe this route becomes a commercially viable one. So various countries like Russia, Canada, USA and Denmark are showing some economic interest for the development. For Russia, it is a key route for exporting oil and gas. For Canada, they want to capitalize on shipping traffic and resource extraction opportunities. For USA, they are interested in exploring resources and increased shipping opportunities. For Denmark, they see this as a potential in shipping and resource extraction. They want to promote sustainable practices. And of course, this leads to environmental and indigenous focus. Mainly Russia leverage the climate change for navigation opportunities, minimal focus on environmental concerns. Of course, Canada prioritizes environmental protection, and every country has their own choice of deciding how to go about these particular issues. Similarly, Finland, Iceland and Norway, Sweden, which are in the Arctic countries, they also have lots of interest in developing, because they all have an economic interest if the route is being developed. So that is the reason all the countries are interested in developing either the NSR or the Northern Sea Route they want to develop.